morning and welcome back to Coffee Break. So today is our final episode of HaBBaB, or How a Book Becomes a Book, and we're going to be talking about production.
So as you might guess, picture books and novels look a little different based on their production schedules.
I mean, they're kind of different animals.
They really are, yeah.
So let's start with picture books.
Okay. So once we send the files to the printer and we get the purchase order issued, the first thing we get back are wet proofs or printer's proofs, and these are layouts of the spreads. They're not gathered or bound, but they're all in order, and this is like, you know, the colors and the consistency. This is how it's going to look. And this is kind of our last chance to make any changes that we need to. And it does cost a bit extra if we have to go back and make changes. So this is only like really significant changes. So for this one, we actually did send it back because some of the instructions in the recipe weren't very user-friendly, and we wanted to make that really clear for people. So we did make some changes to the recipe that's in the back matter for this one.
So how far ahead of, for instance, like the pub date, do you get the printer's proofs?
Oh man, I mean, we work a year ahead of schedule. So like we just came out with our spring 15 books, like those just hit the shelves, and now we're working on spring 2016. And like all of our fall 15 books are currently at the printer. So it's about at least 6 months, I would say, ahead of the pub date.
It is really funny how you get confused of like, so the current season, well, what do you mean by that? Because in marketing, we're working on both spring 15 and fall 15, but you guys are working on spring 16 and fall 16.
Right, like even within the company, we're all on different pages. Yeah, I'm just like consistently out of step with the world, but it gives me a nice concrete excuse.
Yeah.
Yeah. So after we approve the printer's proofs, then the next step is we get the F&Gs. And F&G stands for folded and gathered, and that's exactly what it sounds like. The pages are folded and gathered so that they look like the actual book, but they're just
not actually bound.
Yeah, they're loose pages. They're not actually bound.
So, yeah, we can just pull some pages out if we wanted to.
Yeah, but this is the trim size and all of the colors, and this is just to make sure that everything looks the way we expect it to. And so once we approve, these are hard to display properly. They're all going to come tumbling out.
Yeah.
But yeah, once we approve the F&Gs, then we get the bound advance copies for like our editorial department and our authors and illustrators. Yeah, and the advance copies for picture books are pretty identical to what the final book is going to look like. We just like to make absolutely sure that it looks right. I mean, once we had advance copies that had like a color distortion on the cover, when the F&Gs didn't have that, we're like, where is this coming from? We can't produce this. So this is kind of like, the advance copy is like our very last safeguard, the catch-all and everything. And then it's just nice to get the author and illustrator their advance copy so they can start promoting it, and it gets, you know, our marketing department and our editorial department advance copies so we can start showing this around. So yeah, and this is what we use to approve the bulk shipment, which will then arrive in our warehouse.
Yeah, it's just nice if the author has a copy of their book before everyone else does.
You know, common courtesy, I guess.
So what's different about novels then?
Well, instead of the F&Gs and advance copies, we get what are called ARCs, or advanced reader's copies. And yeah, and they'll always be kind of designated on the cover as an ARC, and then it also says uncorrected proof. Personally, I think that's a little misleading because, like, actually this has been through at least a dozen rounds of correction, so it's not like you're getting a completely raw manuscript. But there could be, like, some minor mistakes in it, or, you know, some back matter that's not quite finished, so this isn't the final product, which is why we put that note on there.
And it's generally printed a bit more cheaply, right? So we can just get it out to people. Yeah,
we use a completely different printer for the ARCs. Yeah, and these are, like you said, sent to reviewers and book buyers so that they can see the book before it's, you know, officially bound. So this is the final book, as you can see. Pretty darn similar.
Yeah.
So the ARCs will usually have some minor corrections in there that we'll then fix before we send all the files off to the other printer for the final book production. But yeah, that's basically how those two work. So then once we approve that and get that sent to the final printer, then everything is produced in bulk and then shipped, and we have our own warehouse, so that gets shipped directly to our warehouse and then distributed to the bookstores.
Mm-hmm.
And
so I know that we get our books into the warehouse a month before the pub date,
Right.
usually. Why is that?
I mean, that just gives us enough time to get them distributed to all of the bookstores and the places that need them, and get some of those back orders filled up. So
that when the book is out, you can actually get it.
yeah. Oh man, this is our final HaBBaB.
I know.
Wow, awesome. Well, I hope we've covered everything.
Yeah,
If you
just please leave us a comment if you have any questions from stuff that we may have skimmed over.
Yeah, I mean, I tried to cover everything, but I'm not infallible. So if you still have questions about not even just production, anything in the bookmaking process, we will try our best to answer that for you.
Well, thank you for joining us through this HaBBaB process. And we will certainly see you next week.